Hello everyone, you're welcome to The Inside. I am Bable Jonathan. We're coming to you from our headquarters in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. In today's edition of the program, we'll be talking about issues concerning football in the Republic of Cameroon, where the country's football is still struggling to stand on its feet, so to speak. The football governing body in the country, the Cameroon Football Federation, FECAFOOT, is going through a time of turbulence as a result of internal conflicts and power tussle involving some members of that organization. And the case we're going to be analyzing in this edition of The Inside is the one between the president of the Cameroon Football Federation, former Indomitable Lions captain Samuel Etofis, and former fourth vice president Henry Njalakwan. And we're going to be talking about this. We're taking you into the nooks and crannies of what's been happening in recent times concerning the governance mechanism of the Cameroon Football Federation in the Republic of Cameroon. Meet our guest in some few seconds. He made history by becoming the youngest ever executive committee member in the history of the Cameroon Football Federation. At the age of 31, he became the fourth vice president of FECAFOOT at the regional level. The elite of Bimbia was voted Southwest FECAFOOT president in 2021, and the only son of late Cameroon Development Corporation CDC General Manager Chief Henry Njalakwan is a football administrator and a business administrator by training. His name, Henry Njalakwan Jr., less than 2 years after he became fourth vice president of the Cameroon Football Federation, FECAFOOT, he is out of that position, and the Njalakwan Sports Academy, which he inherited from his father, is out of activity. And those are some of the outcomes of the tussle between him and the FECAFOOT president, former Indomitable Lions captain Samuel Etofis, over management flaws. Henry Njalakwan Jr., welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Mr. Babila Jonathan. Thank you for having me on your program. Good evening to you, and good evening to the very, very wide audience of Equinoxe television in Cameroon and across the national borders.
All right, I want us to begin with some issues in politics, notably the burial of the former national chairman of the Social Democratic Front SDF political party, John Frundi, which was taking place in Baba 1 in the northwest region of the Republic of Cameroon. The head of state decreed official funeral for the opposition politician. Henry Njalakwan, you certainly know John Frundi, probably must have encountered him. What do you hold as memories of the national chairman of the Social Democratic from the SDF political party?
Yes, I hold very, very fond memories of him. I was opportune to have met him on quite a good number of occasions. I think the most recent was when he visited Limbe. I think a couple of years ago, I think he visited the Royal Chiefdom of Limbe, and I was opportune to meet him and exchange one or two words with him once more. But as you know, he shared very, very close links with my late father, even though they were on different political spectrums, but they had this common understanding and friendship, which goes to show many things, that despite our political differences or different points of views which we have in life, we can still naturally have common grounds for understanding and collaboration
without being enemies.
Exactly. I remember fondly one of the best memories I have of him. About 4 years ago, before the start of the academic year, I traveled to Bamenda with a couple of my staff of the Njalakwan Sports Academy. We went to Bamenda to buy some foodstuff in preparation for the school year. and we paid him a courtesy visit at his residence. And when we got there, it was dinner time. He received us, took us to the table, gave us pepper soup, very delicious one, I must say. And I remember him insisting that if we are not full, if we are not satisfied, there's more than enough water for us to drink in order to fill our tummies. And it's that humor, it's that particular humor of his which I remember and which we told very fondly. It gives me some kind of similarities between him and my late father, who was also a very, very jovial person and very, very full of humor. Of course, all good things come to an end, and so does life also come to an end for each and every one of us. The Almighty God has decided that his time has come for him to leave the earth and transcend beyond. And we'll only hold these fond memories of him. I'd like to use this opportunity once more to extend my condolences to his family, and may his gentle soul rest in peace.
The Guardian Post, or The Voice newspaper, qualifies him as a politician who can never be replaced. Do you share in that opinion?
Well, for now, I'm not so much into politics. So I don't know too much about politicians and the different qualities or attributes which they have and what they represent. So I may want to abstain from commenting on that particular aspect now, but I vividly remember him as a generous and jovial person, and of course somebody who contributed and has written his name undoubtedly in the history of this country.
Thank you very much. Right, now onto the main issue on the discussion table today. I wanted to start with this quote. You spoke to Nyanga magazine, that was in 2022, and you said, I quote, "Proud to the sweeping victory of Samuel Eto'o's as Fecafoot Supremo on 11 December 2021, we had never been in contact. I think it is the common vision and passion which my humble self and Eto shared which got us close. Today, we have a better professional working relationship. Eto is someone who listens a lot." End of quote. What happened along the way?
A lot happens. A lot happened actually, and you know, life is full of change, and life also presents us with so many unpleasant surprises. I made those comments in January. I think that was during the African Nations Cup, which Cameroon was hosting. Those comments came just within a month or two of our elections, where everything was seemingly rosy. Like every new marriage, you would have to agree with me, the beginning of every marriage is always sweet. And as time goes on, as you grow old together, as you have children, as you come across different challenges in life, it becomes tougher, and many other factors have to come into play if you are supposed to stay together as a couple. I think during that particular time, there was one particular aspect which was hovering around our mandate. That was the aspect of resolving the crisis with the 2009 General Assembly. I think that was preoccupying all of us, particularly the president himself. And unfortunately, it's very obvious that ever since this problem was resolved, we began to see a shift in the policies of the president and in the attitude of the president. And the values and qualities which drew us, or me in particular, to him in the beginning began eroding. So when I made those comments, the comments came from the bottom of my heart, based on what was happening at that particular time, at that particular point in time, and based on the evolution of things and the campaign promises and the project which we had. It was still very, very much early days. but you would agree with me that 1.5 years down the line, so many things have happened. I've taken stock even before coming out in public, like I've done now, which has not been viewed positively by many people, while others have tended to reason with me in terms of my actions. You would understand that so many things have happened along the line, as we'll discuss further, and a shift in position can always be expected.
And looking at the fact that both of you today are more or less at daggers drawn, do you regret that statement?
I don't regret it at all. I don't regret it. I was speaking the truth at that particular point in time, and right now I still have the right to express myself and say what I feel is the truth, which is actually the truth. And at that moment I was thinking that Mr. Eto is the best person to lead our football. I still think at this particular point in time he is the best person, only if and only if he accepts his shortcomings and begins to do what he knows he has to do right, because he is aware of every single thing which is going on, and he is aware of every single thing which he's doing. I want to state clearly that he's not ignorant.
Right. A veteran sports journalist on CRTV, and coming in from where you stopped, Phony Chiki, one time head of the sports department of CRTV, said in an interview that no, in his life as a reporter, as a sports journalist, he has not seen any administration of FECAFO that's been able to do what the administration of Etofis has been able to do for these few months. Do you buy that idea?
Do what exactly? Match fixing, corruption, nepotism, discrimination?
I mean, trying to push the football,
do what exactly?
the country's football forward, trying to...
Well, those are his opinions, and I respect everybody's opinion. He has his, I have mine. Those are his opinions, and it hasn't been all that bad.
I asked that question because you said earlier that Eto remains the best who can really handle the country's football, and then you put a condition later on. You said if.
Exactly, but she shifted away from the values which he presented to us in the beginning. He's completely deviated from that. Why do I say he remains the best? We've had a crisis since 2013, since Mr. Iya Mohammed was jailed. We've had a crisis. During that period, from then till now, we've had 2 normalization committees and 2 presidents who've had their elections invalidated because of irregular electoral procedures. But Eto came in and solved this problem. He came in and solved the problem. He succeeded where learned professors and lawyers failed to succeed. That's somebody who many people claim doesn't have a sound educational background. But he did that, which shows that he has those leadership qualities. Then after doing that, which consolidated his power, which showed that that was the most important thing to him. Then after we saw him trying to change the statutes to go in for 7 years instead of 4 years as earlier, as initially elected. Those were early signals that he has other objectives.
There are a lot of things that have been said about that particular issue of changing the mandate of the president of FECAFO from 4 to 7 years. What happened? How did that come about? Was it ever on the table during the board meeting that took place in Douala?
I stated clearly. Yes, that was in Douala. We had a board meeting, an executive committee meeting, as usual, the day before, and the day after we had the General Assembly. It was never on the table of the executive committee. Never. Never. It was never even discussed. And the following day, at the General Assembly, what was discussed was increasing the number of mandates of the president of FECAFOOT from 2 to 3. to align with that of FIFA and CAF that have three mandates, three mandates maximum of 4 years each. That is what was discussed. There was never any debate or discussion to increase the term of office to increase the duration of the mandate from 4 to 7 years. There was never any of such discussions. This resolution simply appeared, or this point simply appeared in the resolutions. It was never discussed in the General Assembly. If I am lying, the General Assembly has about 72 members. They can come up and say the contrary.
His spokesperson said on television that the General Assembly participant
but he's lying.
Brought up the idea that it's not even who brought it up.
It was a blatant lie. It was a blatant lie. They manipulated Cameroonians. They manipulated 22 million Cameroonians. They lied to the entire world. It was a blatant lie. I would not like to go into the details, but I have all the proof to justify what I'm saying. Because even after the meeting, I had while controlling the final communique, because I raised the point at a certain time. I said, Mr. President, we don't have a translator. We need a translator. I'm not satisfied with the English version of the documents or official documents which usually come out. So during that same session, he told me, okay, from now henceforth, you control the translation of every document. Now, I'm a professional. I have other activities. I don't work at FECAFOOT. I don't even have an office at FECAFOOT. During my term of office, I never stepped into the FECAFOOT headquarters on more than 7 separate occasions. And when I went there, it was a specific purpose, and I left. I have my own professional activities which I do on a daily basis. I have somewhere where I report for duties every single day. So I could not have taken the duty of translator automatically. But on that particular occasion, and whenever I was free, whenever I was available in meetings, they will do the initial translations since I'm there in the meeting, and they will bring to me. So while controlling the English version, I saw this point.
The English version of the resolutions.
Of the resolutions, I saw this point, and I immediately drew the attention of the president, telling him that, Mr. President, I need something to be clarified. There is point or resolution number 13, which was not discussed in the meeting. We rather spoke of the mandate, of the number of mandates, and we didn't speak about the number of years of each mandate.
What did he respond to that?
He told me that no, I should leave it the way it is.
So the question is, if it was not discussed by the executive committee member in the executive meeting, and it was not discussed in the General Assembly, who brought it into the resolution? How did
the president took it upon himself? It's that simple. I said it earlier. The president took it upon himself. He is popular. He has a good image. He has a good reputation. He took it upon himself to manipulate Cameroonians and manipulate public opinion. It was never discussed. We have delegates from far north, from the north, from Adamawa, from center, from south, from east, from littoral, from southwest. Let them come and say that it was discussed. It was never discussed. And 72 people sat quiet. Even observers. In that General Assembly, we had observers. We had invitees. Let them attest if it was discussed.
When it was read out, the resolution, what was the reaction in the hall? Everybody was quiet?
Everybody was silent. What did you expect? Everybody was silent. But I vividly recall that on that particular point, when the final communique was being read, I think it was skipped, unless I wasn't in the hall. Because I remember that my initial action was to draw the attention of the president while I was controlling the translation of the English version of that communique after the meeting. And I have certified proof where I told him that there is a problem here, and he gave me the green light to leave it the way it is.
Let me ask you this question. Are people afraid to oppose?
Certainly.
Samuel Eto'o?
Certainly.
Because nobody seems to be speaking out except you.
Certainly.
Okay, now let's go back to where things began to fall apart. What are the management flaws that triggered this disruption in your relationship with the president of the Cameroon Football Federation?
First of all, I think what even kept me in Fecafoot for this long was the fact that I'm not based in Yaoundé. So there was less opportunity for friction, less opportunities for tension. The fact that I was in Limbe, going around my daily duties and only reporting to Yaoundé or doing Fecafoot national duties when extremely necessary or when tasked to do something in particular. Now, early signs of this tension started this really started in January of this year. In January of this year, after initially meeting the president during our trip to South Korea, where he made me head of delegation, leading the Lions for their pre-World Cup warm-up games against Uzbekistan and South Korea, I had a brief working session with him, reporting on the national interpose which took place in Limbe, which he gave me the responsibility of coordinating. And also I took the opportunity to ask him formally, since it was just a few weeks after he appointed me to head the marketing media and promotions commission of the Cameroon Football Federation. So I asked him clearly, I said, Mr. President, what are your orientations? What do you expect from me? How do you expect me to run this commission? He told me clearly, you are the president, you are the man to set the pace. I'm counting on you to go forward. Your word is law. We came back to Cameroon between September and November. 2 months we were preparing for the World Cup and all that. Prior to traveling for the World Cup, I called the first meeting of my marketing commission just to familiarize myself with the members and see how we can set the way forward. We asked, in our resolutions, we asked the director of marketing, who I must say is a very close personal friend of the president of Fecafoot, and who was appointed in that position on the recommendation of the president of Fecafoot. We asked him to provide us with details of contracts or copies of these contracts binding Fecafoot with all sponsors. This went on deaf ears. I reminded him during the World Cup. We came back from the World Cup. I organized a second meeting of my commission and asked for these contracts formally. He told me he doesn't know anything about the contracts. He said that in the live session in front of my other members. He doesn't know anything about the contracts, and I should refer to the director of cabinet or the director of finance in order to have this contract. I got back to Limbe. 24 hours later, I sent him an official email requesting for these documents, putting the director of cabinet of the president of Fecafoot in copy, and putting the president of Fecafoot himself in copy. And this gentleman replied me in black and white that he will not be giving me the contracts, as it is not my right and it is not my responsibility. Now, what sparked such a response?
So from not knowing anything about the contract to I will not give you the contract.
Exactly. What sparked such a response? I would not want to think it was discriminatory because of where I come from in Cameroon. I would not want to think that. But then, what sparked such a response with the president in copy and seemingly silent about it? After this, I wrote to the president a private message on WhatsApp, briefing him once more of everything that has happened. Prior to this, I had told the president, I had laid certain complaints to him, and he told me categorically that he is tired of my complaints and I should take my responsibilities as president. It is not because I'm young that I should be complaining or not impose myself. Now I want to take my responsibilities and I am prevented from working. I am prevented from working by a worker. Let me make it clear. Eto did not appoint me in Fecafoot. I went in for an election. The same electoral process that saw him becoming president of Fecafoot is the same electoral process which saw me being elected vice president of Fecafoot. He did not do me any favors. I, on the contrary, did him favors. And today, if I'm talking, it's because I did not make any deal with him, be it financial, be it for whatsoever position. I came into Fecafoot to serve Cameroon football based on the background in football which I have.
Now, the conflict between both of you, from what you have said so far, in some of your recent press statements and so on, is much focused on management flaws, management issues. Now, from what you've just said now, it appears there's a serious problem of transparency, lack of transparency.
There is an extremely serious problem of lack of transparency in Fecafoot. I will summarize the reasons for my resignation and decision to quit football as follows. Lack of transparency and poor governance, extremely poor governance at Fecafoot, which does not match in any way with my individual values. Secondly, discrimination and marginalization.
The first point.
I'll summarize everything first.
Okay, go ahead.
Then, threats to my physical and moral integrity. And the final point, massive corruption and manipulation of football matches, where my team itself was a victim. So those are the 4 reasons why I left Fecafoot. If you want to, I can now maybe expatiate further.
Right. Talking about the first point on the issue of transparency, what explains that problem of lack of transparency? You are asking for a document which should normally be given to you without you asking for it, because as a vice president, as one of the vice presidents, you are entitled to know the content of that contract, and as the head of the marketing body that has been put in place, or the committee that has been put in place, you're entitled to that document. What explains that? You are not given the document, and probably
they're hiding something.
There are other issues surrounding that which lead you to conclude.
They're hiding something. It simply tells us that the figures which they have come to announce, or the figures which they claim, are not the real figures. And you will recall with me that most of these figures, like you said, their spokesperson had an exclusive interview sometime last week. Why is it only coming up after I spoke? It tells you they are hiding something. Why would you refuse an executive to have an official document? In the first place, if I'm in charge of marketing, who was even supposed to lead these negotiations, if not me? Do you understand? It shows you they are hiding something. They will come and tell you today, for example, one all sports, like how it was announced, is 3 billion CFA for 3 years. I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true. If it was that easy, why was it?
What makes you think it's not true?
If it was that easy, why was it so difficult to give me those details in the beginning, or to give Cameroonians those details in the beginning? How do you come and announce the most lucrative contract ever in the history of Cameroonian football, but then you hide the details? Then you're put under pressure and you begin to bombard figures which cannot be proven. Secondly, we saw in the media, or in the social media last week or so, one All Sports accusing one of their supposed distributors of failing to pay in the monies which are due to Fecafoot or to them. This implicitly means that one All Sports has been unable to perform the terms of its contract.
And there's still a conflict with
exactly
Coq Sportif.
Like the letter, you see, this escalated. There were the early signs in January, which I told you, but this current crisis escalated when I addressed an initially confidential 19-page correspondence to the president. After he insisted that he's tired of hearing verbal complaints, receiving WhatsApp messages, administration is written. I took my time to tell him, in my own opinion, everything which is going wrong in Fecafoot. Not only highlighting what is wrong, but proposing solutions, giving recommendations on how we can solve these problems. And 3 days later, I find these letters on the street. Workers at Fecafoot saying, I am disloyal. What authority do I have to criticize the governance of the president? The president's close friends in the Southwest region and Limbe in particular holding meetings and calling other stakeholders to tell them that I have written a letter criticizing the president's governance.
What did he say about the letter that you sent to him?
What he told me personally?
Yes, what did he respond? What was his response to that letter?
He sent me a message telling me that he's received my correspondence and he's very sad about it. Sad for many reasons, which he hopes to meet me to be able to discuss about it. When I read that message, I saw somebody who lacks confidence. I saw somebody who misinterpreted the contents of the letter I sent to him, which is now public. I'm sure he must have read it.
In the letter, you talked about this issue of corruption. What are the facts that you have about the allegations of corruption in Fecafoot?
The facts are there. We are just running away from the facts. We are just running away from the facts. The Elite 2 Championship, in particular, was marked by massive corruption. One team, after causing a scandal and picking up the ball, when the president walked into the stadium, seized the match ball, and later blackmailed the president of Fecafoot for not living up to his side of the deal. From then, we saw that team move from virtually the bottom of the table to first, having a record number of penalties in the process, having a record number of red cards in their favor in the process. We have reports of club presidents going to the stadium and telling fans to bet on particular matches because the games have been arranged. They've said it in open. We have club presidents who gave their players loans, who reported they are giving their players money, say bet on games, and after the game they collect the money, they take a percentage. All that is known by Fecafoot. A few months ago, we heard the president of the referees committee saying they have deposited a complaint at the level of a judicial police in Douala or something about corruption, match fixing. How far with those investigations? There is a problem. When you suspend 30 referees for match fixing, it indicates there is a problem. You suspend 30 referees, but no club is suspended. No club official is suspended for the same match fixing. So who fixes the games with the referees? Under whose accounts are the referees working for? There is a clear problem. Violence, which returned to the stadia. Victoria United versus Unisport Bafang.
We're going to take a look at what the newspapers reported this week. This is what the newspapers reported this week in Cameroon. The Post, The Guardian Post, Municipal Update, The Voice, and News Watch report the collapse of a 4-story building in Douala, leaving at least 40 people dead and over 21 others injured. In Limbe, southwest region of Cameroon, floods kill and destroy, and the Advocate reports that the city mayor spends sleepless nights as the city is submerged in flood water, and the Dawn reports that Mayor Paul Efomengale ordered the immediate evacuation of inhabitants of flood-prone neighborhoods, while thousands are trapped in Equinoxe, southwest region of Cameroon, as a river floods the village, as reported by The Ultimate. The Guardian Post projects the indignation of elite and population of the West region against the killing of 7 people in the Northwest regional capital, Bamenda. According to the median, President Paul Biya rushed home as the nation counts the dead. The Horizon focuses on President Biya's decree of official funeral for John Frundi. Municipal Update says the SDF National Chairman John Frundi shares his last rallies as hundreds came out to pay their last respect to the fallen politician from the nation's political capital Yaoundé to his native Baba II in the northwest region. He is qualified by The Voice as the irreplaceable politician, and the Guardian Post says why President Biya should forever be grateful to John Frundi. Cameroon Tribune details President Paul Biya's participation in the Russia-Africa Summit. That was the press review. Henry Jalakwan, tell us, who wants to kill you?
I'm not going to come to your TV station and call names. I think legal procedures are on course. My legal team is working. And the situation is being handled. But then, I would like your viewers to know, how do you explain the fact that the president of FECAFOOT meets with individuals in a certain case, money even changed hands, and 24 hours later I received death threats and warning messages from the people whom he met with?
What was said in those messages?
Those messages are available in public space because some were directed to me personally, and I made them public for my own security, because nobody has the right to threaten anyone. We are in a country that has laws. And other messages were made on the public space. Football stakeholders in the southwest region are aware of these messages, and they are silent, clapping their hands, because the messages are coming from someone who is strongly linked or associated to their God, in quotes. Journalists, many of your colleagues, have seen these messages but have failed to denounce them, hereby encouraging threat of life.
Our job is to report.
How far have you?
And that's why you're here today.
How far have you reported this? These messages have been existing since. The people put these messages on the forum themselves. When you have an individual who comes to a football forum to say anybody who does not align with his football mafia should be ready to drink from the cup of Lucifer with him, where are we? When you have an individual who comes on a public forum and threatens to transfer the grave of my father from here to Ghana, stating that my father is Ghanaian, where are we? When you have that same individual who goes on the forum, public forum, to say that the lives of my children and myself are in danger because I'm not aligning to their mafia. That's what people are defending today. You have another individual who tells me, profanes the memory, and you see, all of them in their actions, why don't they talk about my actions, my activities during my time in Africa? Why are they attacking my father, who died more than 10 years ago? Why are they attacking me personally? How can someone say your late father was a thief who suffered from a brain tumor and eventually died because he was being investigated by the state? That individual is indirectly insulting the head of state, who deemed it necessary based on the services my father rendered for this country to bury him, decorating him posthumously with the highest honor from the state. My late father was never the subject of any investigations for corruption or whatsoever, or was never condemned to that effect. We've asked him to bring the proof forward. He goes over to say, I am a bad child who was raised with stolen money. Now, can you now understand my fury? Can you now understand my anger? Because apart from being victim of injustice, apart from fighting corruption, discrimination within Fecafoot circles, my honor has been attacked. The legacy of my father has been attacked. My image has been attacked. And I have every right to restore that honor. And believe me, I am going to do it no matter what it takes. It's not a matter of them having money or them having relations. We are in a country that has laws. And I don't see any of them being a better Cameroonian or being more Cameroonian than I am.
Is the death threat part of the discrimination? Is it an outcome, a fallout of the discrimination?
Death threats and discrimination, two completely different things. While at Fecafoot, I suffered discrimination. Clearly, how do you explain me as a vice president traveling for the World Cup and being put in a small room? The text gave me the right. The text say that as vice president, I'm supposed to be lodged in a hotel suite. How do you explain the fact that I am being given a room, whereas the coordinator of the national team, the head coach of the national team, and other employees of the federation who are simple employees and below me are occupying big suites, and a vice president is in a room? If it's not discrimination, what is it? Concerning Jalakwan Sports Academy, we had a player called up for the under-20 national team, travel to Congo to play the unified competition, which was a qualified competition for the under-20 Nations Cup, which we failed to qualify for. This young man against the Central African Republic injures, picks up a severe knee injury, rupturing his anterior cruciate ligament. The same injury which the current president of Fecafoot suffered at least once in his career and kept him out for 7 months, and he needed surgical intervention with extremely good physiotherapy to get back into shape. This young man was abandoned. His name is Kimbi Lovis. He put on green, red, yellow. He comes from the Northwest region, plays for Jalakwan Sports Academy. He put on green, red, yellow, defending the country, gets back to Cameroon and is completely abandoned. Despite numerous correspondences which Jalakwan Sports Academy sent to Fecafoot, my intervention at a personal level as vice president, to the secretary general and the rest of the staff at the federation to take this issue urgently. For close to 3 months, this child was abandoned. We ended up using our own resources to operate this young man, and now he's going through rehabilitation, till date we've not been reimbursed by Fecafoot. If it's not discrimination, what do you call it?
We're going to take some interviews right now, and when we come back, we'll talk about the Njalakwan Sports Academy that's now out of activities, and we'll see just what is happening and what is the fate of the trainees of that institution that has given hope to many young people, especially in the southwest region of the country. Stay with us.
He who has power should never be afraid to meet with the weak. If that is indeed the case, then the government of Cameroon should stop the tricks it's playing, the end runs it has engaged in, should stop stonewalling when countries offer their good offices to mediate, and those international partners should also engage in this in good faith and not to promote a particular agenda towards a particular solution. So first and foremost, what will WPPJ propose as the solution? We begin again with a statement that peace can only be peace if peace is seen to be done right. Translation: peace absent justice is the peace of the graveyard. So number one, demilitarize civilian settlements, so our mothers and children and young people can go about their business, tending to their farms and their livelihood. Number two, President Biya has never engaged in any proposed or supposed peace talk in good faith. It has used each one to delay, to deflect, and to believe it can continue to fight a war that it shall never win. It does this so it can get the international bodies to continue to provide it with the funding it needs, and the countries that support it militarily to believe that indeed it is engaging in a process to end the crisis.
The Limbe Advanced Vocational Training Center is one of the 3 advanced vocational training centers of this magnitude, which is constructed as a result of the excellent partnership cooperations between the Republic of Cameroon and the Republic of South Korea. The other 2 are in Douala and Sangmelima. The one in Limbe was inaugurated on the 17th of December 2016 by His Excellency Philemon Yang, Prime Minister at the time. So Limbe Advanced Vocational Training Center was created as a vision of the head of state to make education professional in Cameroon so that youth can be empowered with skills to curb unemployment. The first level of effect is the low intake. The low intake, as at that time, the crises were not at their peak. And comparatively, we had a very enviable intake. But in the years that followed, the spill-offs were very clear. And the enrollment dropped. And we are only recovering from the effects of the spill-offs of the crisis. As a matter of fact, we have not closed our doors one day in the midst of the tension. We have not closed our doors a single day. And we have had successful training years all the while from its inception until today. We are simply grateful to God and hierarchy, the measures they are taking to secure the environment so that we can achieve the objective of training the youth. You will agree with me that the civil service alone cannot absorb the rising number of educated young people. So therefore, to ask me the question as to the importance of vocational education in Cameroon today is to let you know that as it stands, vocational training is an antidote to unemployment. The training, employment, and employability equation is balanced with the understanding that quality training is a guarantee to quality professionals and sustainable jobs. Now, listen, the training we offer at Limbe Advanced Vocational Training Center is one that confers skills on young people in addition to the entrepreneurial skills. Our training is also accompanied with modules on entrepreneurship. The skills they acquire are marketable. So they don't go and wait for anybody to employ them. They have all it takes to go into the world of work with something to offer. So the equation is balanced in that they are not waiting for anyone. They have all it takes to do what they want. In fact, they are the ones who are pace setters. They can begin small and medium-sized enterprises, and they are out there providing services to the community. In the Limbe Advanced Vocational Training Center, there are 9 functional specialties. So we train in office automation. We train in computer systems and network maintenance. These 2 training specialties are IT related, information technology and communication. We train also in hotel management and catering. That's the 3rd one. We train in refrigeration and air conditioning. We train in electrical engineering. We train in welding and boiler making. We train in plumbing and piping. The other specialties include mechanical production and woodwork.
Look at the entire West Africa, which has already, in fact, is already suffering from Islamic attacks, and then several coups d'etats have just happened in West Africa. We can count just, you had Mali, you had Burkina Faso, you had Guinea, Bissau, and presently you're having Niger, all happening in West Africa. And all the nations where you have coups d'etats happening are nations where France had so much influence. France was a former colonial master. That's to make you understand that there is a problem. In Niger, you have 2 different military bases. In the rich uranium deposit area, why did they go focus in those areas? Why in Mali, the French were busy in the north where there was gold? You see, they choose where they go because they know what they go to get from there. They use their military to export our resources. So the people, in one way or the other, naturally will get angry when the government is doing nothing to send out these foreign invaders. I would say I'm calling the Westerners foreign invaders because they did not come to help. They're actually coming to extort and to exploit. ECOWAS is in, as a regional governing body in West Africa. It has nothing to do. It's like a toothless bulldog. It's just the same what we are talking about, the African Union. These particular bodies are not doing anything to help towards the unity of the African people.
You're welcome back. In I think you said in one of your recent outings that I quote, I think we have done quite a good job, most importantly keeping the institution alive following the passing away of the natural founder in 2012. What happened to what you qualified as most important, one of the most important achievements, that is keeping the institution alive? Now you decided to put everything, to bring everything to a halt. What happened to that?
We cannot function under such circumstances. There is just no way. We are in the middle of a clear witch hunt. Like I said, I have gone beyond the level of displeasing myself and my family to please others. Now, then Jalakwan Sports Academy today is more of a public utility. No profit is being made on a yearly basis from running this institution, and we don't receive any subventions whatsoever from the state. We have a couple of people of goodwill, sponsors, who help us in our activities.
No,
but then we've been existing for 23 years. In those 23 years, we've produced a good number of professional footballers who have represented Cameroon at the highest level, winning even the African Nations Cup with Cameroon, representing other countries as well, like Benin. We've done that.
Examples like Deep Tambe and many others that.
But then, look at what happened this year. Because I came out, I denounced corruption and deliberate manipulation of football matches, particularly the match involving Jalakwan Sports Academy against Kumba City, which took place just about a month ago. What did they do? I took the decision to resign and suspend activities. People called me immature, taking rash decisions, childish. No problem. But I was vindicated 2 weeks after, when after resigning and withdrawing my team, these same individuals came and imposed a 10-year ban on me for no good reason, and without me, and with me being unable to defend myself. This ban came after I deposited a complaint at the FECAFOOT Ethics Committee and informed the government as well of the massive corruption, manipulation of matches, threats of life, incitation of hate and violence, and all other ills going on at FECAFOOT. And it came as a reprisal for my actions, for me reporting FECAFOOT and asking for the president and his cronies to be investigated. They decided manu military to suspend me for 10 years and fine me 10 million francs and relegate Jalakwan Sports Academy to the inferior division. Now, if we look at privately owned sporting institutions in Central Africa, Jalakwan Sports Academy is amongst the first 5. In the English-speaking regions of Cameroon, with all due respect to all what other institutions are doing, Jalakwan Sports Academy is the #1 privately owned sports institution in the country. Apart from football, there are many ways we help the state. There are many ways.
Blending education and sports.
Yes, but what you know, the divisional officer of Limbe 3 subdivision has her office stationed on the campus of Jalakwan Sports Academy for how many years now? Free of charge. Free of charge. Without even requesting them to pay electricity bills. The National Gendarmerie for Limbe 3 as well. We gave them an office. I personally, they were there for 9 years. Free of charge. Right. Free of charge.
Now
before eventually moving on to the permanent site.
Right now, you've closed down in Jalakwan Sports Academy. What's going to happen to the trainees who were there? You said in one of your press statements that they're going to be transferred to other clubs. Is that already happening?
Yes, the most mature trainees, we are going to place them in other clubs in Cameroon and even out of the country. It's already on course. For the younger ones, we'll see how we can recommend other training institutions for them. It's a definite decision. It's a decision which we are not coming back on, at least not immediately. The academic year starts in about a month's time. We've not done recruitment. We've not given out prospectus to the old students to permit them to return. So nothing has been put in place for us to resume operations in September. So whatever happens now, there is nothing we can do. Jalakwan Sports Academy, unless otherwise, 99% is not going to run for the 2023-2024 academic and sports year.
How soon do you plan to bounce back? Are you thinking of bouncing back?
We may never bounce back. It depends. And we may still bounce back whenever the conditions for equitable and fair competitions return. I am Jalakwan Sports Academy. Jalakwan Sports Academy is owned by my family. I have sisters who are out of the country and not directly interested in football. I have a mother who's of a very, very advanced age now and has other priorities. We have other members who contribute financially. But I represent Jalakwan Sports Academy. When you suspend me for 10 years and relegate the team, you are insulting the symbol of Southwest football. How do you expect us to win? We leave the football for you. The president of Ikafoot himself has said on many occasions that he's going to make people leave football. Even laisser notre football pour nous. Even laisser notre fédération. On va les faire quitter le football. We are leaving the football for him. We are not obliged to. Who loses? My family and myself will save tens of millions that we'll be using over the years to take children from Kumba, Ekona, Ekondo Titi, Garwa, Marwa, Kuseri.
But what about the hope that you were giving to these young people?
How is it my fault? How is it my fault?
It is often said that quitters never win.
No, listen.
The best way to fight is not to quit.
At the expense of my health, if I die today because of this stress, will you take care of my children? Will you marry my wife? My health comes first. My personal satisfaction comes first.
Of course, you have to be alive to...
It hurts me. It hurts me very much to abandon this project technically, but I have no choice. Who do I want to please? I should please others and displease myself. They've shown me clearly that I am not wanted in the Cameroon football milieu. Good and fine. I concentrated on my professional career, and contrary to what people say about killing my father's legacy, no. Absolutely no. Jalakwan Sports Academy operates differently from other clubs. We don't run our club from a briefcase. We have infrastructure. We can transform this infrastructure.
But it can be said, like you rightly indicated, that you have allowed your father's legacy to perish.
Not at all. Not at all. Where he is now, I'm sure he's very, very proud of me, because he knows what I'm going through. He knows the fight I've been fighting to keep this institution going. I could have closed it one day after his death. I was not obliged to continue 11 years after. Even the Anglophone crisis failed to kill Jalakwan Sports Academy. In the heat of the Anglophone crisis, we kept our doors open. We gave children education, for the most part free of charge. Gave them football training, gave them food, gave them shelter, gave them medical care. For how many years now that we've been in the socio-political crisis? Taking them off the streets when they could have become something else. And today, an individual decides to frustrate our efforts simply because I do not align with him politically. But I was not born to be a slave.
All what has been happening provoke a question. Is there something else beneath football? Is there something else beyond football that is fueling this conflict?
It shows clearly that they have another agenda. When I am being attacked and they don't focus on my management at Fekafoot, or they don't focus on me as a person and they begin to call my late father, It shows that they are attacking the legacy. It shows that even in death, my father's name still poses a problem.
Is there a political undertone to what's been happening?
Not with these individuals. Not because we have just a group of 4 or 5 persons who are spearheading this, and other people, because of their egos, are behind. I would like to say, the state does not interfere in football-related issues. Particularly what is going on in Africa. We don't expect the state to interfere directly. But I can tell you the state is worried. But I have my own values which I am going to protect and preserve. And I am firm on that particular decision. Many people have reached out to us, many individuals, many state authorities, many other personalities have reached out to us, asking us to reverse the decision. There is just no way we can do it.
How far are you ready to go with this fight?
Justice will be served. Cameroon is a state of law. For the legal actions which we are taking against these individuals who have profaned the memory of my late father, and we shall be eventually, once the decision, because it's going to happen, once those in charge at Fecafoot are found guilty of manipulating football matches, are found guilty of corruption and whatsoever, we're going to sue Fecafoot for the damages they have made us incur, killing our investments for over 23 years. In the meantime, legal actions are being taken against those individuals who feel they are above the law, maybe because they have money or whatsoever. And believe me, no matter how long it takes, justice is going to be served. My life is in danger. My life is seriously in danger. I've had to move my family away from Limbe because we were victims of near physical aggression few days ago. I realized I was being followed, and my family was being followed. Even after leaving our permanent residence in Limbe and moving to another site in Limbe, we were still followed, and we had unidentified young men who came there looking to cause harm. And these same individuals who have been insulting my family, insulting myself, insulting my father's legacy, contacted some of my close collaborators and warned them to stop collaborating with me, threatening them, giving them exact details of their recent movements with me and services which they recently rendered for me, meaning that they are trailing me, meaning I'm being followed, meaning people have been assigned to track my every move. I have informed the state about this. I have informed the state about this because this is clearly not football anymore. We have a bunch of criminals who are perpetrating criminal acts in the name of football. I have had to move my family to an undisclosed and secure location while I've been obliged to virtually stay in Limbe because I have professional obligations. I work with a company which is based in Limbe, and I have professional obligations with this company.
Henry Njalakwan Jr., thank you so much for your time.
It's been a pleasure.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of this edition of The Inside. Thank you for staying tuned to Equinoxe Television. Goodbye.
Equinoxe Télévision, au-delà de l'image, nous rendons compte.
C'est dimanche sur Equinoxe Télévision.
Que ce soit les Tiki Mboumois, les Samuel Lebois, les René Zenguilé, le Thomas Meloné, les Bobo Jacques, j'en passe, il y en a, vous voyez, ils sont presque tous là. Quel est, citez-moi un seul qui a détourné l'argent du pays pour construire les châteaux?
Mais il faudra, quand il cesse d'occuper la position de pouvoir qui est le sien, qu'il aille voir s'il a quelque chose. En réalité, il n'aura rien.
Pourquoi on ne veut pas accepter que un patriarche de 90 ans ne peut plus être à la pointe de la situation.
La lacune que nous avons aujourd'hui dans notre pays,